Do you feel like your business is running your life instead of the other way around? I'm Roy Castleman. I built multiple seven-figure companies, worked across continents, and coached high-performing entrepreneurs. But I've also been completely burnt out. At one point, I was barely seeing my daughter, drowning in stress, and one step away from walking away from it all. That's when I made a decision to build a business and a life that works for me. The journey became Elevate 360, a system to help business owners reclaim their time, find their energy again, and get back in control, without sacrificing growth. And this podcast, Power Movers, is where I share real stories behind that shift. Each week you'll hear from entrepreneurs, founders, and leaders who've walked through the fire and come out the other side with clarity, courage, and a system that works. If you're ready to build a business that gives you more life instead of taking it away, you're in the right place. I'm here with David Payne, and David is a very good friend of mine. He's worked with me for some time. He's also an entrepreneur that has just been on the most amazing journey, and I've been very blessed and fortunate to be a part of that journey with him. David has got so many hats, right? You're hat rich. And I met David actually when I was working in the Adventure Centre at Twinwoods, where he actually brought a magician friend of his, Martin Rees, working on another world record, his 5th or 6th world record of going underwater. And David was his coach over the years. So I'm going to let David introduce himself a little bit. He's been on the podcast before, and this is a follow-up podcast. So if you want to see a bit more of his story, you can go back and watch the other podcast. But David, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Roy. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, and thanks for everything that you've done for me. Genuinely would not be where I am now today if it wasn't for your amazing help and guidance. But a very fast background on my life. So I started out as a helicopter designer for 4 years, found that a bit boring, went to be a primary school teacher for 20 years. All that time, I was also interested in entertainment. So I've always done magic. I was a hypnotist, done stuff on television. I've had my own touring theatre show. I'm into music. I play the piano blindfolded, play the guitar. I'm a music producer. I help manage other artists and help them become famous and get good at what they do. I got a company called Full-Time Talent that finds artists that want to become professional and help them do that. And yeah, very recently, I decided I was going to leave teaching. Obviously, about 5 years ago, I was going to leave teaching. Then lockdown happened, good timing. Then I thought, what skills do I need to help me become better in the entertainment business? And it was marketing. And then the opportunity came up to work with you when I met you at Twinwoods, and I was there with Martin. And like within 5 minutes of speaking to you, I just knew that it was going to be a really good kind of partnership for a good person to know. We're very like-minded in terms of our mindset and our philosophy. And then, yeah, so very happily came to work for you at Twinwoods and just learnt a whole ton of stuff about business that I didn't even realize. It was like, you don't know what you don't know. And what a game changer. So that was probably the biggest turning point of my life, working for you and under your instruction. It genuinely was. And then since then, that's skills. And that was planting the seed. That was the acorn, or dropping the pebble. And now I'm experiencing the ripples as a result of everything that's come from that. And very recently, I've got like a major project. We've finally broken through and had our first lucky break, as you were. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that journey, aren't we?
And I think the way that you rush through that, you can minimize your own kind of power on this. And I just want to honor a couple of the things there. You have a passion. You have a passion for performing, right? And you have a passion for teaching. And when we're entrepreneurs and we have a passion for something that allows us to go into the world and fix a problem that you see in the world. And you do exactly that, right? Yeah. You go through this process of, you say, oh, I help musicians. Yeah. You don't just help musicians, you help them find their own passion, their own journey. You're working with your nephew, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. How's that going?
Yeah, he's doing exceptionally well. Yeah, he's just come back from Bermuda. He's done his own. So he's incredible, an independent artist, and I've started to encourage him to release his own music now. So he's releasing music regularly, doing music videos. I direct his music videos with him, with another video guy called Adam Nightingale as well. And we work together on those videos. And yeah, I manage Chris, and things are going really well. So his Spotify following has really accelerated really rapidly since I've been working with him. And yeah, Bermuda, like he was so popular out there. He was just doing like the small venues and the pubs and things. And then by the end of the month, he built such a reputation out there that they built a massive stage for him on the beach. And he did his own concert in front of about 500 people on his final night in Bermuda before he came home. So they're kind of, and he's just about to go on his first UK tour in October. So that's, yeah, an additional thing that I'm doing, but he's going to be really big. Yeah, he's amazing.
And yeah, tell me how that makes you feel.
It's fantastic. I think you hit the nail on the head. My passion is for performing and teaching. So I love performing, but I love helping other performers succeed
Yeah.
more. That's what I really like to do. I like to be the guy behind the scenes that produces and directs and manages and makes other people's dreams come true. That's what I love. That's what I love to do.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's it, right? That's it. What can we do something as an entrepreneur that lights us up, that has the sparkle in the eye, that kind of makes we were chatting before this, and you said something that really resonated, right? At the point where everything just works, you get into this flow and it doesn't feel like work anymore, right?
That's right. Exactly. It does. You're in the right direction and when it doesn't feel like a struggle, a hard work. It's a different kind of struggle. Before all the pieces fall into place, it's a bit like banging your head against the brick wall and trying to find your way out of the forest. But then now it's a different type of problem, a nice problem to have, and that it's all happening so fast and so many opportunities are coming from it. It's literally like riding a wave, and you've got to try and stay. The game now is to stay on the surfboard, to be dumped on by the wave. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
And I think I want to just really touch on a couple of lessons, and we're going to go through a lesson for people that are thinking about getting on this journey. And one of the biggest problems, there's a couple of problems that I see with people that I coach, and one of the biggest problems that is out there for me is not starting. When you get in an ice bath with me, I say step, step, and go. And so, yeah, I think I'm fair in saying, as a teacher, you can't go into your lesson without having it properly planned out and the whole. And so you came into this with this piece of, okay, so business, I'm gonna have to do all this stuff. And I was like, I kept on coming back and saying, yeah, what did I say?
Right. Yeah. One of the biggest lessons I learned from you is just put first things first, but also just start. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's the big lesson. It doesn't have to be perfect first time. You just begin and you improve it as you go along. And we talked a lot about minimal viable product. That's it. That's why we are where we are today. It was because of that little nugget of knowledge. While our competitors were spending a lot of time and effort building the product, we were selling the idea. And
Mhm.
so we got in first. And
Let's step this back a little bit to set some context, right? David, yeah, what David does as well with full-time talent is they go out and they put on shows and holiday venues, and as an entrepreneur, there's a million opportunities that just keep on flooding in. Yeah, they come in, and yeah, it's a real skill set to see one and then to act on it. And just take us through that story.
yeah, okay. Shall I give you like the whole background of where we are now and how we got there? Because I think there's a lot to learn from the
Yeah.
tale, and we can pick the parts of that as we go along. So make yourself comfortable, viewers. It's quite an interesting tale. So I decided about actually go back in front. So about 2 years ago, I was asked by my friend Adam to write a musical for a student movie, which ended up winning the International Film Awards in New York. Which was mad. It was like a 10 grand student movie and beat like this animated movie that was like had a budget of $1.2 million or something like that. But anyway, I wrote this musical, and in the process of doing that, we had extras, and a lot of people gave it their time for free just to make connections. So lesson number one really was get in my business is get yourself in the room. You've got to be in the room. You could be the best artist in the world, but if you're not in the right place at the right time, then no one's going to know about you. And the way it works is like somebody needs someone. Oh, we need someone to write a musical. That guy, that guy standing over there, he does musicals. That's the way people work. They don't trawl the internet or the world trying to find the right person. They just go with who they know, like you would if you're hiring a plumber. So anyway, so lots of extras gave up their time for free. And one of those was Freya Morse. And people were saying to her, you should not give up your time for free. What are you doing that for? But she had the wisdom to know that she was going to make some pretty decent connections. And that's when we met. We really connected. We had the same vision for loving, forming, but also helping other people. And she was young and charismatic and would appeal to the younger generation. And I had the experience. And we put those two things together, a very powerful combination. So on the way home, there was a point to the story. So on the way home from this musical, we then were going around a roundabout and a Queen song came on the radio. And the dancers in this music video that I was giving a lift to at the time, I just gave them a lift back, all burst into this beautiful harmony singing a Queen song. And I said, oh, it'd be really cool if we had a female Queen tribute act. No one's ever done that before. Lesson number two. to cut through, you don't necessarily have to think of something that's never been done before. You just need to put two things together that have never been put together in that combination before, and then you've got
Yeah.
something unique. Exactly the same thing with Martin and his world records. There's thousands of people who skydive. There's thousands of people who do magic, but no one had ever done magic on a skydive before, and that was the nugget that propelled him into like what he's managed to achieve, which is the most successful online magic show in the world during lockdown. So same thing here, really. Put two things that have been done together before. A female queen, that would be interesting. Call it king. Someone said, let's call it king. It's go, yeah. So that kind of started the idea. So then we put that together. Took a long time to put together for a year, recruit everybody, train everybody up. But it was a really good show. And we put it out on the holiday park circuit. Went and did a showcase in Portsmouth. One of the singers broke her thumb an hour before going on stage. That's another amusing story. Went on stage anyway, and before nothing had happened. And we managed to get a whole ton of holiday park gigs from that. Then did a few holiday park gigs and got very popular. And people were telling us we're probably the most popular act in the holiday parks that we're doing. So a very successful holiday park act. Then, because I was also, meanwhile, I'm also doing lots of open mics in the town and helping artists develop. And there's this one guy that worked as a manager in the cafe where I was working, as doing the open mic, in the restaurant where I was working doing the open mic. And I didn't know at the time, but he was a singer in the West End. He was in Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. But to me, he was just the manager of this place, and I was just an open mic guy. He went off, moved away, went to Bideford, opened a cafe for 5 years. And then suddenly, last Christmas, he goes to see Barry Manilow at the London Palladium, £350 a ticket, completely sold out. And he's looking around going, I didn't even think this guy was still alive.
Yeah.
This popular. And always loved like Barry Manilow's music, and he loves musicals. That's his musical taste. He loves that kind of thing. So he phoned me up only in February this year. It's all happened since then. And he said, do you fancy doing a Barry Manilow tribute show? I'm thinking, not really. But for me, actually, I'm joking. For me, it's not actually the specific genre that I like. I would do any genre. I just love creating experiences for people that they enjoy. I don't mind
Yeah.
whether it's a world-breaking magic routine, if I'm hypnotizing someone on TV, or I'm doing a Barry Manilow tribute show or a holiday park gig. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just I love entertaining people and giving them a great time and making them feel happy. That's the mission of my life, is to feel happy and make others around me feel happy. That's, if I had to narrow it down into a mission statement for what I'm all about, I would say that was it. Anyway, yeah, so he also wanted to do this Barry Manilow tribute show. So again, I've got, as soon as he says that, I've got Roy's voice in my head, and it's, see if it sells first. Because I'm thinking this is a massive undertaking. So I'm not going to go anywhere near this until I know that this idea works. But he's a novice to business. Martin, he's called Martin James. And so I had to coach him in a very similar way to how you had to coach me in the early days, because again, you don't know what you don't know. And I had to explain to him, we can't make this first. We've got to sell the idea first. That's the third thing to learn from the story. Always sell the idea first before you go anywhere near making it. Yeah, so how do we do the minimal viable product? How do we create something as cheaply as we can to see that it will sell before we make the full product? And then again, Roy's voice in my head again is, you should use AI more, David. Like, all right, let's get an AI program and generate a poster. So just for almost like a bit of a joke, we just morphed Martin's face with Barry Manilow's face and created a title for this show, Copacabana Magic, and put it out there to see what it would do. Now, I'm being a bit flippant and fun for the podcast, but on a serious note, Martin's voice is exceptional. He is like world class, world class. So I knew we had a good product, but I didn't know if it was popular. You could have a great product, you could have the best product in the world, but if it's not popular, if it's not what people want, it might be what people need, but if it's not what they want, then
But it's also those connections you're talking about, because unless you get it in front of the right person,
yep.
yeah, it can be as popular as anything, but no one can see it.
Indeed. And also, yeah, so coming back to being in the room, if I hadn't done those open mics for pennies to help young people in the town, he wouldn't have seen me. And when the opportunity comes up for him to do Barry Manilow, he goes, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
It all comes together. It's all about relationships and rapport building and all of that. It all comes together. And it's no one thing that you'll do that's successful. It's a whole combination of consistently small but important things that come together and eventually land you with the opportunity that you need if you're patient and in the right place at the right time. You've got to be good at what you do, you've got to be known, promote yourself, really, whatever that looks like. So yeah, so we asked, so yeah, we made this poster and we just sent it to a bunch of theatres, and the big theatres of course ignored us because they only work with trusted agents. Again, lesson number 4, to sell something, people need to trust you. And in the entertainment business, especially in the theatre business, they only trust people that they've sold with before. So it's a very catch-22 situation. You can only get in there if you know them, but you can't get in there because you don't know them. So it's how do you break down that door? And all areas of the entertainment business are like that. It's very
And
much
that's very much something that you teach your young artists to do, isn't it? I've heard you going through, let's get them into pubs, let's get them into open mics, let's get
yeah,
them in the room, as you say.
that's right.
And slowly but surely, they get better because they're in the room.
Yep.
And then when they get to a tipping point, I've come to some of your open mics and just seeing these really nervous kind of energies all bottled up inside, and then they open up and they come alive. It's really quite special.
Yeah, yeah, it is amazing. You really see that journey, don't you? In the course of an hour, you see
Mhm.
the progress they make and what it does to their confidence. And it is a really lovely thing. But yeah, just that, you've got to be in the room. One of the people I work with got a record deal because they were doing a pub in London in front of 6 people. And they almost cancelled the gig because they thought, I'm not going to do this crappy little pub in front of 6 people who were like well below me. And it's no, go and do the show because you never know who
Yeah.
that person is. And it just so happened that one of those people was an A&R person for Virgin Records and signed them.
Wow.
Yeah. And it can be a pub. It does, you don't have to, people wait for the big moment, but no, that's not how it works. You've got to put the groundwork in and you've got to go through the hustle because that's how you build a reputation for yourself and you make the connections with people that are going to open the doors for you eventually. So yeah, so we are complete unknowns at this stage. Nobody knows who we are. As far as the world's, yes, I've been doing it for years. I'm a very talented musician, songwriter. I can work with people. I'm a good producer. I'm a good manager. Martin is a phenomenal world-class singer. Yeah, we are a really good act. And Freya is incredibly talented at singing and dancing. Like it's an incredible team. But the world don't know that. They don't know. So these theatres that we're sending these posters to, we could be anybody. So anyway, so we send these posters, they're all being ignored. But a couple of small theatres, like 300-seater theatres, go, yeah, we'll give that a go. Because they don't mind. That's more like the Vicar of Dibley. It's like Village Hall kind of stuff. We don't really mind. Yeah, cool. We'll give you a try. Yeah, we got in, and one of them just so happened to be a sister company to the Royal Theatre in Swansea, like
Yeah.
the Theatre Grand or whatever it's called, the Grand Theatre in Swansea. And they look at it and they thought, actually, our demographic will probably like Barry Manilow. And so they contacted us and said, do you mind if we put that on sale in ours, having seen it go on in the smaller theatre? We said, yeah, give it a go. So they put it on sale and it sold because now we're in a city. So now there's more people. There's more people that are going to see the show and more people to buy it. It's much easier to sell tickets in big theatres in big cities than it is to sell tickets in small theatres in small towns. I hadn't
Okay.
realized that at the time. I thought it'd be easy to sell a small theatre, but it's not. It's the other way around, as long as the idea is good and people buy into the idea. So yeah, so 2 weeks later, we'd sold something like 150 tickets in like Swansea. And we're looking at this and we're looking at other.
And just for context now, right? Yeah. At this stage, you have a leaflet.
That's it.
It's,
That is it. A poster. We don't even have a Facebook campaign. We don't have an advertising campaign. It's not even in the theatre leaflet. It's not online. I don't even know how they got to find out about the show. But we sold 150 tickets and we're looking at this and there's other massive tribute acts in the UK that always sell out. There's an amazing tribute act, Neil Diamond with Fisher Stevens. He's fantastic. So he's a really good benchmark and he sells like he usually sells out his theatres. And he's on in the same place and we're looking at that and he's sold like 50 tickets so far for a show that's in 2 months. And we know he's going to sell out because he always does. And in the theatre game, people buy tickets at the last minute. But here we are with 150 ticket sales, and our show isn't for another year. So we're looking at this, and then all the other tribute acts are the same. So we are like outselling the other tribute acts by a factor of 4 or 5 with a poster. Like, wait till the real marketing starts.
yeah, yeah.
But so at this point, we know we're onto a good idea, right? So then I go, okay, this is worth making now.
Yeah, yeah.
But it turns out that we're not the only people that know we're onto a good idea because the other big agents in the UK watch the circuit. They watch what's going on and they can see this new act arrives in Swansea and is selling all these tickets. So suddenly a bidding war starts and everyone's offering to buy our show. So we got offered to sell it for £100,000.
Right. Poster.
Yeah, from a poster. One of the two of the major promotion companies in the UK offered to buy it for the region of £100,000
Ah,
and then pay us a salary for like 400 quid a show or something like that. It was tempting, but Martin was great. Martin's very loyal. He's very switched on, and he wants to keep control
yeah,
of the product and not give, because we've
good.
had horror stories of other people we know that have been doing really well, and then they get taken on by a massive promoter, and then they want to just make as much profit as possible, and they take all the money away from the show, and then the show's not as good, and then the reputation dies, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
so they try to get greedy too early, and they lose money in the end. And we want to retain control of that. Plus, we're thinking these guys know there's something in this. If they think it's worth £100,000 now, then we're going to hang on to this because this is going to be worth millions in the end. Yeah, so we hang on to the rights of it. But one of them was so keen. He said, "All right, I won't buy the show, but I will promote you, and we'll come up with some kind of 50-50 deal." He promotes and then we put on the show, so it's fine. They're guaranteed as well to pay the band, which is nice. So the promoter puts up like £4,000 every show. So Martin, Freya, and I are not at risk of losing any money for any of these shows. The band always get paid. Yeah.
yeah.
We might, if the sales aren't good, have to do a few shows for free. That's fine. But most of the time, it's going to be really good sales. And then anything we sell beyond about 200 tickets is then splittable profit. And our average theatre capacity is 1,000 seats, and our ticket sales are £30 each, roughly. So each show could turn over £30,000. Even half that would be turning over £15,000 a show. So you could do the maths. The theatre gets a little bit of a chunk, they take a percentage, and then we pay the band £4,000, and then there's a massive amount of money left to share between us and the promoter. It's a pretty decent business model because there's no risk either.
Yeah,
To,
yeah,
to
sure.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, it sounds like a good deal. See what you can do. So we went off, and before we know it, like 2 weeks later, we're suddenly booked into 50 theatres around the UK, and like proper big venues now, 1,000 seaters, 2,000 seaters. We just got booked this week in a place in Ireland that's 6,500 seater music arena.
Ah,
Do the maths on that one.
yeah,
So it's bonkers, and yeah, and so and then it accelerated from there, and then other venues started to see that it was selling well, so they wanted it as well, and then they wanted it as well. And another lesson to learn is social proof. People are booking this show now because other theatres are selling it well, and it's, oh, if their tickets are selling well, it must be a good show. Still, nobody has ever seen this show. They're
yeah.
all
I
selling
mean,
it.
I spoke to you 2 weeks ago. That was the first time you actually had everyone together.
Yes, yeah, that's the process we're at. So we've sold about 7,000 tickets so far on a poster. We haven't even got the promo video out there yet. We've just filmed the promo video, but it's not out there yet. And wait till the real promotion starts. So this thing's going to be huge. Yeah, so now we've got offers from all over the world, like America, Canada, Finland, New Zealand, Benidorm Palace in Spain. Yeah, the London Palladium, which is just hilarious. We joked in February, like when we get the small theatres, wouldn't it be funny if one day we did the London Palladium and we go, oh. And then, yeah, 6 months down the line, we're actually doing the London Palladium. So it's all a
Yeah.
bit bonkers, but yeah, it's
This is one of those concepts that I try and bring to people is dig your well before you need to drink.
yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep. And so now it's shit. We actually need to create the product now. So
Yeah.
the last few months have been all hell for leather on the operations side of things. Another amazing thing I learned from you at Twinwoods is how companies are structured and all the different departments and how they work and the order of doing things. And obviously, a small company like we are, just myself and Freya, because we're the producers, the Sharon and Martin has hired us to produce, has given us a percentage, basically a 50-50 split of the show to produce the show for him and manage the tour and provide all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like where we're at with that. But yeah, it's so really heavy on the operations side now. But one thing we do well is we've got all small company, got lots of things to do. And one thing I think we're very good at is writing down everything that needs to be done and then using your 90 kind of teachings, which is
Right, yeah.
people that don't know, obviously it's about how to run efficient meetings and how to put first things first. Game changer. I learned so many amazing things from you, but that's got to be
Yeah.
top three.
Yeah.
That's such a game changer in how I
For context, just for people that haven't heard about it, a business operating system is the working on the business side. And as we go through this journey, one of the mistakes a lot of people make is you go in and you just get overwhelmed by all the things you need to do, right? So what do? You do the things you like doing best. Yeah. And you leave the things you don't like doing. And when you step away from the business and actually take that time to work on the business and make sure you know what all the hats are that you need to wear and make sure if you're not doing them, you've outsourced it and you have the numbers for it and you're communicating effectively. You're two people now, you're running what is potentially going to be a £3-4 million turnover next year.
Yes.
How do you keep that flow going? How do you keep that control going? And it's all about working on the business, right?
It's absolutely. And although Freya and I are the only employees of our business, obviously we're working with lots of self-employed artists that are coming together to do these shows. And the other acts that we're managing as well. So really we're managing about 20 or 30 people already. And we don't even have any employees. But you still have to manage everything in the same way and do it all properly and make sure everything's above board and everybody knows what they're doing. And again, something else I learned at Twinwoods with you incredibly was just how to manage people effectively. Like the Q12 survey that we looked at just before I went on and to do other things was a game changer in the sense that employee satisfaction and what they really like. And it's not to do with the money and it's not to do with the hours that they work. It's to do with the managers. More people leave their work because of the manager than anything else. And what do they want? It's the simple stuff. They just want to know what they're doing, have the resources to be able to do it and the time to be able to do it. If people are able to do what they love doing, they get the pride and the satisfaction from that. They feel important. They feel good about themselves. So as a good manager, you just need to be a good facilitator. You just let the wheels roll, set it up. You don't have to be like David Brent. You don't have to be like the big like showman and go like, hey, I'm amazing. It's not that at all. It's how I used to teach in the classroom. You just sit back, you organize everything. So there's no resistance and it just runs and you just let people do what they're born to do and what they're passionate to do. So that's
such a big problem in that is that as entrepreneurs, we go into it and we have a passion and we have a drive that always steps us aside from the staff.
Yeah.
And the staff are an awesome and people are such an important piece of what we do. So we need to understand where they're coming from. And just like you said, if I know what I'm doing and I know what my number is, or I know, what dictates that I'm doing my job well, and it's very clear what I'm doing, then I'm going to do that. Do I get the job? Do I want the job? And do I have the capacity to do the job? Those things are so important because when I come in, I've learned so much myself over the years and I can still keep learning. When I come in and I'm like, okay, Dave, do this and do this. And then I shoot off to the next thing. I mean, you remember those days.
I remember,
yeah. And Dave sitting there going, what happened? And that's such an entrepreneurial thing, right? And the fact that you've been able to rein that in from the outset, use your skill set as a teacher and structure, and is a big part of how you're able to step forward now and deliver.
It is, getting things right. And you touched on something else that you helped me with that is massive, massive, and that's in recruitment. Have they got the desire, the capacity, the capability to do it? And that's been huge. In the early days, we came unstuck with that a little bit because I'd forgotten the importance of that, but I remembered it very quickly and then put it in place, and it's been a game changer since then. So especially in the music business and any business, in our context, you've got to have somebody who actually wants to do it in the first place, because otherwise they're never going to travel around the world with you. They'll just be pissed off and missing their families. You've got to have someone who's talented enough to do it. You can't hire someone to play the piano that's wearing mittens. You've got to be able to play the piano. And they've got to have the capacity to do it. They've got to be available to do it. And there have been so often we find people with 2 out of 3, but we can't take them on. A brilliant pianist that I met from Manchester, absolutely wonderful guy, really wanted to do it, but he just had another job that he couldn't balance with it as well. So he just wasn't able to come on tour with us in the end. It's really sad, but we couldn't take the risk on it. But so those big 3, always make sure that they've got the desire.
And we spoke quite a lot about core values, and core values are a really bad rap. People don't use core values in the right way, right? And it's a bit harsh, but you hire and you fire on your core values.
You do. It's the very first thing I do when I bring someone on board. Ours is, we're dealing kind of with musicians and that, and they're not particularly very organized group of people. They're very artistic. The kind of certain corporate ways of doing things would put them off. So I do the same effective things, but in a voice that suits them. So I think so quite often you get these big corporations that have these are our core values because we have decided what these are, and everybody looks at them and it kind of means nothing to them because of the way that it's portrayed and rolled out in the company. But done properly, it's an absolute game changer, and I couldn't do without it. It's like when I was a teacher having your classroom rules. There's the rules, you've broken that one. That's why you've got your consequence. So yeah, right from the outset. Funny enough, we just brought on a new guitarist for Kings, the female Queen tribute band. And the first thing I did was welcome them to the group. And then my very first words out of my mouth, and these are our core values. And I didn't do it too officially. It was just in a messenger chat, which is the
Yeah.
main source of our communication as this particular group. And I just said, and our core values are kindness, professionalism, communication, and reliability. And that means to be a part of Kings, everybody needs to make sure that they're kind to each other. They need to make sure that they answer the messages at least within 24 hours. They make sure that they behave appropriately in front of clients and in gigs and rehearsals, and make sure that you always show up and do what you say you're going to do those things, and you'll be with us. You'll be with us all the way. And then when that goes wrong for people and they don't do it, we can pick it up on them because we've already showed it to them. And we don't have, like when I was a teacher, you don't have to be nasty. I don't think I ever got cross in my class. I never shouted at my class once. I was always firm but fair because I had a well-organized system in place. And this
Yeah.
is the same. It's fine. You've done, that's your choice, but these are our core values. So you either are going to need to do it this way or find something else. No hard feelings. But if you want to be
And it comes down to that conversation I've had so many times. Is okay. So when we spoke initially, we spoke about these things as being important values for us. And can you see how this piece doesn't quite fit into that? Was there a problem around that we need to discuss and we can give you some training on and you can help that? Or is it just not important to you? Because depending on what the answer is, that depends whether you're a good fit or not. And yeah, I don't want you working here if it doesn't feel right to you. And at the same time, if it was just something that, yeah, that wasn't that important to you at the time, then okay, let's just make sure you understand the importance of that, right? So
Yes, indeed. And quite often it's just lack of awareness, especially when I'm working with young artists. So I
yeah,
work with a lot of teenagers, even young teenagers. And a lot of them don't realize the importance of reliability. They haven't had that realization yet. And it's almost like a revelation to them. It's almost like they never considered it sometimes.
yeah,
One example is we were doing a show, a really important charity event in front of a big audience. And one of the artists said that they would do it. And then they were getting a lot of pressure from their family to go and do like a private event, which had come up later. And they're in a really difficult position. But they ended up not doing the show and almost scuppered the whole charity event. But
wow,
only because I managed to get somebody else and I built a system in the place where we have a rolling cast and I have replacements because I realized that people do let you down. I was able to fill that role at last minute and the show went on. But then I had to go back and speak to this other person and say, you just can't do that if you want to be a part of this. And but they were mortified. I didn't realize it would be such a problem. No, it really is.
yeah,
So make a decision. You either stick to the stuff you agree to or you don't. That's fine. You don't have to be a part of this. The offer is there if
yeah,
you're willing to abide by what we're all about.
yeah, yeah.
You know?
Now, it's like, yeah, you've gone through this journey and you're on this journey. And one of the things we talk about quite a lot is wellness. And I know you swim. And how do you look after David? Because we just can't be powerful if you're probably the least stressed out person I know. And you have been for forever. You always turn up with a smile on your face and you're always happy. And yeah, I'm like, okay, if I could just clone that level of happiness for everyone in the world, there would be no more wars. There would be no
Yeah.
more problems. Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you show up for yourself?
It's funny you say that because if I was going to write a book before I die, it would be on happiness. And at the moment, I feel like no one would listen because no one knows who I am. But I think I'm the happiest person I know. And it's not an act. I genuinely feel happy all of the time. And so much so that even when challenges happen, they don't make me unhappy. I have strategies and skills to deal with those situations and always have a way of thinking about things that maintains a positive mindset. It doesn't mean that I don't hide my emotions, I don't suppress my emotions. I feel them, but it doesn't stop my overall feeling of well-being and happiness all of the
Yeah.
time. And it looks easy, doesn't it? And you'll appreciate because I know, Roy, you've got a very strong mindset as well. So you will really appreciate what I'm going to say on this. From the outside, it looks easy when we're having a good day and we're doing all of these things. And you're an amazingly talented person. You could do like things 100 times faster than anyone else I ever know. You can do it's so impressive. how much you can actually get done in a day. And everyone else is going to be looking at you going, how does Rory do that? How does he do that? I can't even get out of bed and make myself a cup of coffee. And I know that this is years of practice, years of honing, of reading the right literature. So number one, read the literature, expose yourself to thoughts and feelings that are going to improve your mindset. And you and I are constantly reading these like highbrow books, these positive books on business or mindset or whatever. And it drip feeds into how we are as people. So that's the first thing. But also, it's also not rocket science. It's the basic Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I see this with my young performers all of the time, right? So this is a great topic. I love this topic. So for those that don't know Maslow, most people probably do, but it's like a pyramid. And the needs that support everything else are your basic needs like eating and sleeping and exercise and feeling cared for, feeling safe. If you've not got those things, you're not going to worry about anything else. If I'm sleeping on the street and I'm wondering where my next meal is going to come from, I'm not going to be worrying about my next business transaction. I'm going to be worried about how I'm going to get something to eat so I don't die the following day. But then you've got that in bad, and then the next thing you go on top of that, and it builds up, and eventually you're at the top of the pyramid. You've got so much of these things in place that you are then capable of starting to help other people and worry about other people and supporting them. And I think that's the level that I feel like we have aspired to and that we achieve. And it fluctuates, isn't it, from time to time? But most of the time, I think you and I are ahead of this pyramid, able to help other people because we have this basic structure in place. Some of the young performers,
Not so much.
yeah, they stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They're like addicted to social media. They're worried about their image, so they don't eat, they don't exercise. They're disorganized because being in the entertainment business is very difficult to have an organized routine. I'm so glad I had jobs which were very structured and organized because if I hadn't done that first, I wouldn't be able to put so much structure and organization into a very disorganized industry. And because they don't have to get up at 9 o'clock and get to work. So they don't know what they're doing with their time, and most of them can't organize themselves. So yeah, you see it, and they just can't function, and they've got lots of like mental health issues and physical issues, and all they need to do really is just get some sleep and have something to eat.
Yeah.
Ta-da! And you'll be able to function
Yeah.
at least on the second or third tier. So yeah, it's hugely important. So anyway, a long time ago, you asked me about my regime, my mindset. So how do I do it personally? How do I do it? So yeah, so I read a lot of positive psychology. So I get the good mindset. I got this straight first, and that impacts everything else.
Yeah.
Atomic Habits, that's a great book that I read recently.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, especially for my lifestyle, because I've got a lot of things that are important but not urgent, like piano practice, guitar practice, those exercise, image. If I didn't do small nuggets of those things every day, I'd suddenly get to the day before the concert, and not only would I be like 40 stone, I'd then be going, oh shit, I haven't really practiced the piano very much. I think it's a bit late now. So I structure my day and I give all these important things. It's from Stephen Covey's book as well, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's identifying the important things, not just the urgent things.
Yeah.
It's the important things you need to do first. The urgent things need to be dealt with as well, but not at the expense of the important things. So I always put time aside. So my routine, when I have one, because obviously a lot of time I'm traveling around, but most of the time if I'm at home, I get up in the morning, probably go about 7, and I have a nice casual breakfast, make sure I eat well for the day, and then I go for a swim. So I'm a competitive swimmer, so I go for an hour's training in the pool. I come home from that. Now, the thing is, I do that straight after breakfast because habit stacking. I don't forget to do it. If I had breakfast and did something else, I might go for a swim in a minute. It would never get done. So I have breakfast, and then so the way it works for the people who don't know is after you've done something, you always do the next thing that you want to always do. So it stacks up. So yeah, I have breakfast, so then I go swimming for an hour, and then I come back, and the first thing I do when I come back from swimming is practice the guitar for half an hour. And then the next thing I do is practice the piano for an hour. So I've got all of those important things taken care of in the first part of the day. So I don't worry about them then. I know that they'll be done. I know that concert that's coming up at the London Palladium in November next year will be fine because I'm practicing for an hour a day and the goal will take care of itself. You get the habit right, the goal takes care of itself. And then, yeah, so then I just have a nice relaxed lunch. And then in the afternoon, I do my admin. So starting with a to-do list where I write everything down and then I pick the 6 most important things from that list and move them across to a column and I put them in the order that I want to do them. And then it's just like a shopping list. So I never spend my day panicking about what I haven't done because it's on the list. I never feel overwhelmed. It's on the list. So it's going to get done at the right time. And it's like going shopping. If I didn't make a shopping list and I'm walking around at the supermarket, I'm going to, I don't know what I'm doing. But what I do, I write things down and I'm like, oh yeah, potatoes, peaches, melons. And I'm happy. I know what I'm doing. I can walk around the shop happy without thinking about what I'm doing. It's the same with my business. So it's a shopping list. So what's number one on the shopping list? Oh, podcast with Roy. Okay. What's number two on the shopping list? Oh, okay. Meeting Emily to go over social media. And I literally just, I don't worry about it. I don't stress about it. I just do it next because it's on the list. And it takes away all the procrastination, all the worry, all the anxiety. And it's just a routine that I get done. And then, yeah, I just go through the day. And then when it gets to 5 o'clock, I then say, oh, my wife's coming home soon and she's going to tell me off if I haven't done the dishes or done that bit of DIY that she wanted me to do. So for the last hour of each day, I'll do some DIY on the house that like nagging me to do. And then she came home at 6 o'clock. We have a nice meal and we sit in the hot tub, watch a movie. And then the next day, it all happens all over again. So
I love that concept. Yeah, we spoke a bit about journaling, and it's not something that I've ever been able to get my head around. I don't write as well as I could do. I don't, yeah. I worked out the other day the reason that I don't write very well is because my hand can't write as fast as my mind's thinking.
yes, makes sense.
So now I can just use my AI to brain dump.
Yep.
Yeah. So whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or whatever tool that I'm using, I'm like, okay, so this is all the stuff that's on my head, in my head, and boom, 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 boom. Once it's done, okay, now just help me. This is the goal that I need to get to in 2 weeks. Which of the things on this list do I now need to prioritize? And just give me a list. And that's just such a relief in terms of just clearing out the clutter, right? Because otherwise you end up thinking about things in the past you haven't done, things in the future that are worrying you, and it just shrinks the amount of energy you have for today. You have 30% in the past, 30% in the future. You've only got 40% for today.
Yeah.
And
It's so true. And you've hit on something else really important there as well, I think, and that is everybody has different mindsets and different ways of doing things. And I really picked this up as a teacher. It took me a long while to get to grips with, but I got to understand it more and more through my career. Because in the early days, it's like, why can't they just understand that? Surely they just get that. It's obvious. And they don't just get that because everybody's mind works differently. Some people think super fast and they're highly visual. You're especially like that. And you see it in the classroom and they can't get it down on time. And teachers are berating them for not having good handwriting, but actually look at the quality of what they're writing in terms of the words and the ideas. Writing is not just about handwriting. It's about putting thoughts down. Yeah. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are dyslexic, aren't they? Lots of famous ones. Lots of them have ADHD and they've got a lot of drive.
show me an entrepreneur that doesn't have some level of ADHD.
Yeah. Because
it's a massive superpower for me.
It is a massive superpower. Yes.
Such a massive superpower. Yeah.
It is. And so is things like dyslexia as well, because it makes people delegate. It makes people prioritize. They don't try and do it all of themselves. So these things that people think are disabilities are only disabilities in a particular context. In other contexts, they're absolutely superpowers. And you see it all of the time. But of course, you then need to have an awareness of that and be able to manage that because it can be a double-edged sword. So for the entrepreneur who's very thinking really fast and putting lots of ideas out there, needs structure. And if your mind doesn't work that particular way, then putting it all down onto AI and getting AI to give you that structure is fantastic. Saves employing a PA, doesn't it? It's cheaper and it's your own personal advisor in your pocket. So yeah, I think that's amazing. And for most entrepreneurs, I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I'm a lot different to most entrepreneurs, I think, because I'm a very organized thinker. I'm a chess player. I was a scientist, a helicopter designer. I very much to strategize, and I do have big ideas, and I have great imagination, and I put them all down. But then I'm also very organized in terms of organizing those thoughts. And it's just something that just comes easy to me because it's just the way my brain's wired. So I prefer to be in control of that part myself rather than asking somebody else to do that bit for me. But people,
yeah. And I think you touched on another thing, which is that people are so different. So you've got the various type of tools that you can actually use as an entrepreneur to find out what people's skill sets are. I remember years and years ago, I used the disc profiling thing. And recently I've been introduced to Luminous Spark, which is another of the same. And that understanding, I worked with my mom for many years. She worked for me for 20 years. And my mom needs a lot of information, right? A lot of information. And I don't need very much information at all before I make a decision. So I would be giving her very little information, and she's sitting there saying, I can't work with this. And it just caused tension until I did years ago, did the disc profiling, and I was understanding who you're talking to and understanding. This comes back down to communication. And I'll say this about AI. AI is a tool by which humans evolve.
Yes.
And I mean that in a couple of different ways. Firstly, communication, right? AI will highlight every bit of communication you're doing in the wrong way. Because when you're communicating with AI, it's just a mirror for how you're communicating. So you're like, okay, so here we go. I want you to do this and this. And it's okay, and spits out rubbish at you. It's like, okay. And it's helped me learn that I can actually communicate so much better. But if I'm not communicating correctly with AI, how am I communicating with my loved ones, with my family, with my staff, with all these people? So that was a really good evolution lesson for me. And then the second piece was that AI is actually a way to think. There's a lot of different theories out there that AI is going to stop people thinking. Yeah. And for sure, it can do. Right. But for me, it's been entirely the opposite. It allows me to think outside my brain. I've got to take these books, I've got to put them into my brain, and then I've got to actually absorb it. And then I've got to process and spit it out. And when I've got 15 books in my head, it's which one am I? Yeah. So now all I need to do is I need to think of the problem outside of my brain. I'll take that problem to the outside. And I'm like, okay, so now, and the creativity then that comes up from that, is 100 times more than it was before. I've done 6 years worth of work in 6 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And for creativity side, it just takes it to a whole new level. It's amazing. It's like any collaboration, but on steroids.
Yeah.
So if you imagine an artist, for instance, a songwriter, whatever, is trying to write a song on their own, they're limited to their own imagination. You bring in another songwriter, they will say things or do things, might be good ideas or bad ideas, but it will spark some kind of thought that you wouldn't have had if they weren't in the room saying that, doing that. And I've written so many amazing songs that would have been better, wouldn't have been as good if I tried to do it on my own and it was some kind of spark. And the more people you have, like many minds are greater than one, but then you add AI into that's read everything that's ever been written in the entire world. It's your best expert.
Yeah.
It's like free or very cheap if you subscribe. And I've done some incredibly creative things in songwriting with AI. It's an unbelievable tool. Because
I will interject here because when we first started talking about AI, there was a little bit of resistance there, wasn't
yeah, it definitely was. Yeah. Because it says my industry is very interesting. It's not different industries, I think, need different AI tools to be successful. And the entertainment business is still very old fashioned and it's still very much about knocking on doors and seeing people in person and making those personal connections. And especially with the demographic for the Manilow show that we're doing, they're the older generation that still go to theatres and they're still the people that pick up the program at the theatres and circle what they want to go and see and then go and pay for their tickets in cash. So a lot of marketing techniques that would work better in other industries might not work as well in this particular, although some still do. You still use everything and see what works best. But I think it's spotting how AI works well for you in your industry that's the real game changer. You don't want to go down a rabbit hole where it's not useful, but I would say you could find a way of it being useful in literally every industry. I found it very helpful, like especially chat and GPT with all the collaboration and also like the marketing and the website and the organization. And I've used it like in business to organize the thoughts and to create the structure, the tree and all of that. So I definitely use it. I use it a lot. And in the creative instances, it makes videos and it can make kind of music, it can make songs and does voiceovers. And I've used that aspect of it. It makes posters. Even in my industry where it's our customers are elderly generation and probably don't even know how to use a computer or the internet now, let alone the next wave of things that are coming through with AI, I've still found a way of making it highly effective. And next year, when we get really busy and I'm having to do a lot more invoices and booking of things like that, then I'm going to be knocking on your door and saying, how can I automate all of this?
Yeah.
I don't have to. So one thing in particular yesterday was I was just doing a few invoices, and because I don't do that many invoices, it's not made sense yet to put some kind of automation in place for that. But once the money's coming in from the tour and we've got money to put aside to get automated systems to do that, it's going to make a whole world of sense, especially if we've got a lot more to do. So I'm there thinking, that just took me an hour and that would have taken Roy 2 minutes. So I'm definitely gonna be changing that next year. So there's definitely business systems that I haven't got in place yet that I'm going to be putting in place and using AI to do that for certain. Yeah.
And I think, I'll have a last statement, then I'll come back to you for your biggest lesson. But I think the thing at the moment with AI is there's so much noise out there that people are just totally overwhelmed. And I'll end with saying, listen, you just need to fix the business problems that are actually business problems. And in order to do that, you need to have a base understanding of what's possible. Right. Yeah. And to do that, use AI on a daily basis just for your own personal stuff. Oh, I'm going to go out on holiday here. Or I want to do a meal. Give me a nice menu. Oh, take a picture of the stuff in your fridge. Just get used to using it, because getting used to using it gives you a feel, gives you confidence, gives you an idea of what's possible. And then apply it to your business for sure, but apply it to those business problems. Yeah, I want to thank you very much for being on. And I want you, what is the one thing for people that are either business owners, or people looking to go into the business? What is the one thing that you'd say to them to think about? What's your biggest lesson?
Last time I think I said you're gonna die. And then you said, why have you just said that? And it's because you just don't know how long you're gonna die soon. So just do it. Just go out there and enjoy your life. But no, joking aside, I think it's don't put limitations on yourself. I think the real game changer for me has been coming out from being a total planner and trying to make everything fit into its perfect place to being the total opposite to that and just listening to my intuition. Because as you go around the world, your subconscious mind absorbing all of these things about you and how you want it to behave and how you want your body to behave. It tells you things. It knows what you want. You just have to listen to it, and you have to have the courage to do it. I think courage is the big one. You could fail at doing something that you hate. Like Jim Carrey's dad was an accountant and he hated it and he got fired and they never had any money. Jim Carrey always said from that, I'm never ever going to do something that I hate because I could fail at doing something that I hate. You might as well fail at doing something that you love. So just have the courage to go and do it. Follow what your mind's telling you, and you will always find a way. You will always find a way.
Thank you so much for joining us, David. And I'll put all your contact details and stuff below the podcast. And we will see next year. We'll come back again and tell us how it's all going.
Yeah, be amazing. Thanks, Roy. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening to Power Movers, the podcast from All the Power, where our mission is to help business owners reclaim their time, reset their energy, and live the life they love. If this episode sparked something for you, your next step is simple. Take the fit check at allthepower.co.uk. It's a short clarity tool that helps you see where you are, what's getting in the way, and what might be possible if you have the right system. When you're ready, come and join the tribe. Power Movers start with our signature framework called Elevate 360, a system built to help you escape survival mode, create structure, and move forward with power. Just remember, everything we share here is based on real stories, experience, and frameworks. It's not personal business advice. Always speak to a coach or advisor before making big decisions. Because in the end, it's about more than business. It's about building a life that you actually love. I'm Roy Castleman, and I'll see you in the next episode.